50 Cent just sent out a warning, and fans are convinced it's aimed directly at Jim Jones. From cryptic Instagram posts to old street rumors resurfacing, things are heating up fast. Is this just shade? Or is Fifth about to expose something that'll shake the rap world? It started with a single Instagram post. No tags, no names, no explanations. It's just pure tension packed into a few words. 50 Cent posted, "Some of y'all rappers forgot who introduced fear into the game. Keep playing. I got time." That was all it took for the hip-hop world to explode with speculation. And almost instantly, the internet pointed one collective finger in the same direction: Jim Jones. Now this isn't some brand new beef. This has roots, history, tension that's been bubbling beneath the surface for years. 50 Cent and Jim Jones were never exactly cool during the peak of Junete and Dipset's rise. Both repping New York, but on totally different energy. You could feel the friction even when they weren't speaking each other's names. It was in the body language during interviews, the slick shots in freestyles, and the subtle shade thrown in radio appearances. 50 once called Jim Cameron's hype man, brushing him off like he wasn't even worth targeting directly. Jim laughed it off like he always does. But the tension was always there. So when 50 Cent, known for being calculated with his moves, drops a vague post like that, people don't think it's random. They know it's loaded. It's got a history. 50 never fires without a reason. He didn't say Jim's name, but he didn't have to. The timing lined up just a little too perfectly. Just days before, Jim Jones was overheard on Clubhouse making comments about certain rappers who lost control of New York. He didn't mention names either, but fans are sharp. They connected the dots, and it started to feel less like coincidence and more like warfare. The comments on 50's post blew up. People were tagging Jim, others were quoting old interviews, referencing ancient drama like it happened yesterday. There were memes, TikToks, tweets, and reaction videos. Everyone wanted to know, is this real beef? Is 50 back on his classic petty king energy? Or is this something more serious? 'Cause let's not forget, this is 50 Cent we're talking about. The same guy who destroyed Ja Rule's entire legacy. The man who exposed Rick Ross's baby mama. The one who made Young Buck cry on the phone and then leaked the audio just for fun. He doesn't do light threats. He doesn't play social media games for clout. If he's posting something like that, it usually means he's already got something locked and loaded. And here's where it gets really interesting. Fans started digging. Do you know how the internet is? When they sense drama, they go full detective mode. Old footage started popping up. Clips of Jim Jones talking about loyalty, about the streets, about how he feels about snitches. Then boom, someone brings up the 2019 wiretap situation. Remember that? When Jim's name came up in federal transcripts during the whole Tekashi 6ix9ine trial, allegedly Jim was caught on tape discussing how to violate 6x9 in after he turned snitch. Now, nothing ever came of that legally. Jim never got charged, but the streets never forgot. And neither did 50. In fact, when it first hit the headlines, back then, 50 made a few sarcastic comments, but didn't go too deep. Now it feels like maybe he's ready to use that moment for something bigger. Maybe this post was just the first warning shot. People close to 50 have already said he's working on new projects. Some even say he's planning a docuseries that dives into real hip-hop beefs, raw, unfiltered, and full of street truths. Could Jim Jones be one of the names featured in that? If so, this warning could be part of the rollout. Like a promo disguised as a threat. 50 has always blurred the lines between content and conflict. It's what makes him so dangerous. Meanwhile, Jim Jones has been quiet, which is unusual. Jim is normally quick with responses, whether it's through music, interviews, or social media. But this time, not a word. No clapbacks, no cryptic posts, no subtle jabs, just silence. Some say that's him taking the high road. Others say he's planning something behind the scenes. But there's also the possibility that Jim genuinely shook, not scared, just aware. aware that 50 isn't the type of guy you take lightly, especially when he starts moving like this. Industry insiders have reportedly been talking DMs flying, calls being made, people trying to figure out what's going on. Is this the start of something real or just old egos flexing online? Because if this turns into an all-out war, it could get messy. Not just for 50 and Jim, but for the people around them. These guys have deep roots in New York hip-hop. They've got mutual connections, shared history. This isn't just rap, this is culture, and it's layered. Even fans have started choosing sides. Some defend 50, saying he's the king of keeping it real and exposing snakes. Others backed Jim, claiming he's evolved, matured, and doesn't need to stoop to 50's level. But everyone agrees on one thing. This feels different. This isn't one of those fake internet beefs. It feels like it could spiral into something very real, very fast. And it all started with one post. So now the question is, what's next? Will 50 double down and start naming names? Will Jim finally respond? Or will this turn into a slow burn feud that explodes months from now in a music video, an interview, or even a courtroom? We don't know yet. But one thing's for sure, when 50 Cent gives a warning, it's never just talk. It didn't take long for people to realize that this situation might go deeper than just a petty Instagram jab. 50 Cent has never been the type to throw shade without a reason. Every time he starts something, it's usually backed by strategy, timing, and a goal. That's what makes this so interesting, because if you look closely, all the signs are pointing to something bigger. Let's rewind a bit. The 2019 wiretap that involved Jim Jones during the Tekashi 6 IX9 in case wasn't just a small side note in hip-hop history, was a massive red flag. Jim was allegedly caught discussing retaliation against Tekashi after he snitched on his crew. The phrase "super violate him" became a meme at the time, but the people in the streets didn't forget what that meant. What made it even wilder was that while others from Tekashi's circle were getting hit with charges and prison time, Jim walked away without so much as a visit from the feds. People started whispering. Questions were raised. And in the world of hip-hop, where your street credibility is everything, rumors like that can stick harder than facts. That's when 50 Cent first poked at it. He joked on social media, calling Jim the real QAnon, a reference to his own drug-dealing character from Power. Everyone laughed, but underneath that joke was a dig, a warning, a statement. Now fast forward to today. 50's recent post feels like a follow-up. Like he's had all this information in the vault and now he's finally ready to use it. Fans believe that this isn't random at all. They think that 50's been collecting receipts, watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Maybe he was waiting for Jim to say something reckless. Or maybe he was just waiting until he had a platform big enough to expose everything the way he wanted. There's another layer. 250 has been hinting at a new project. Some say it's a documentary series. Others say it's a podcast or even a full-blown film. But what they all agree on is that it's going to involve real street stories, and some of them are going to name names. People close to Fifth have already suggested that he's planning to drop some never-before-seen footage, interviews, and maybe even unreleased recordings. If Jim Jones is featured in any of that, even indirectly, it could cause major waves. And that brings us to another important point. Why now? Jim Jones hasn't really been making a lot of noise lately. Sure, he's still involved in music, fashion, and a few online spaces like Clubhouse, but he hasn't been in the spotlight like he used to be. Some think that maybe Jim said something behind the scenes that reached 50's ears. Others believe that this is just about Power reminding people who really runs New York, or at least who used to. That's another part of this. 50 Cent's whole legacy is built on dominance. He didn't just enter the rap game, he took it over. He crushed opponents, started beefs, finished them, and turned enemies into punchlines. But now, the game's different. Social media rules. Everything New York's hip-hop scene has shifted. The younger generation doesn't fear 50 the way the old one did. And maybe, just maybe, he's trying to remind everyone who he is. If that's true, Jim Jones could just be a symbolic target. Someone with history. Someone with just enough controversy attached to his name to spark a conversation. If 50 wanted to make a statement, this is how he'd do it. But Jim isn't just sitting there quietly, either. Even though he hasn't responded directly, his silence is making noise. Some insiders say Jim's working behind the scenes, talking to his lawyers, calling in favors, and trying to find out exactly what 50's planning. He's smart. He's been in the game too long to get caught slipping. But silence can only last so long. Eventually, Jim's going to have to respond, whether through music, an interview, or maybe even legal action, depending on how far 50 pushes it. Meanwhile, the fans are eating it up. YouTube channels are dropping videos every day analyzing the beef. TikToks are pulling up old freestyles. Twitter is reposting clips from past interviews where 50 and Jim threw subliminal shots. It's like the culture has been waiting for something messy like this to happen again now that it is. They're loving every second of it. What makes this even crazier is that there are people within the industry picking sides. Some are hitting like on 50's posts. Others are unfollowing Jim. Some are staying completely out of it because they don't want the smoke from either side. And then there's a small group that's encouraging the chaos from the sidelines, people who were once loyal to Dipset but felt betrayed, or old associates of G-Unit who still owe 50 favors. In other words, the chessboard is being set, and here's the thing. This might not just be about 50 and Jim. This could open up doors to even bigger revelations. Remember, when 50 starts a war, other names always get dragged in, just like Ja Rule brought Irv Gotti into the fight, or when Game's beef with G-Unit ended up involving half of the West Coast. So don't be surprised if this whole thing ends up pulling in other rappers, executives, or people from the streets who have stayed quiet until now. For now. All we can do is wait. Will 50 take the next step and drop a name? Will he release a video, a diss track, or a documentary clip that takes this thing to the next level? Or is he playing a long game, setting up something way bigger than we can even imagine? One thing's for sure, nobody's safe when 50 Cent's got a grudge. All eyes are on 50 now. The internet's buzzing, the fans are waiting, and the question on everyone's mind is simple. What's the next move? If history's taught us anything, it's that when 50 Cent starts something, he doesn't just let it fizzle out. He builds it up piece by piece, post by post, word by word, till the whole thing erupts. That's his pattern. And judging by the silence from Jim Jones' side, it feels like even he knows something's coming. So far, 50 hasn't dropped a second post. But that doesn't mean he's done. In fact, with Fifth, silence is sometimes louder than words. It means he's working, plotting, collecting. He's giving the situation time to cook. He wants people to talk, speculate, panic, and pick sides. He's letting the world build the pressure for him. The real question is, what kind of move is he going to make? A diss track, a leaked video, a documentary clip, maybe even a staged phone call or some old footage from back in the day. With 50, it could be anything. This is the guy who once bought 200 front row tickets to a Ja Rule concert just so the seats would be empty. He doesn't need a studio to make a statement, he needs strategy. And it looks like the industry knows this too. Quiet meetings are being held. Old allies are being called. Even bloggers and journalists are staying alert because they don't want to miss the moment when this story takes its next step. Some YouTubers have already claimed they've been contacted by people close to the situation, warning them not to say too much or speculate too far. But in hip-hop, speculation is the fuel, and right now that tank is full. People are already guessing what 50 might reveal. Some think he's got paperwork. Others believe he might be working with someone from Jim's past, an old friend, a former crew member, maybe even someone who was around during the Dipset versus G-Unit days. If 50 drops any kind of real evidence that supports the old rumors about Jim, could be devastating. Let's be real, Jim Jones has built a strong image over the years. He's no longer just the guy from Dipset, seen as a businessman, a street-certified rapper, and even a mentor to younger artists. A real takedown wouldn't just hurt him, it would hurt his brand, his legacy, and the respect he's earned. In recent years, that's what makes this beef so risky. Because unlike old rap battles that stayed on wax, this one touches on real-life things. Federal cases, street credibility, past affiliations. And in today's social media world, even the suggestion of doubt can destroy someone's image faster than facts ever could. Meanwhile, Jim's silence is starting to feel heavier. Every hour that passes without a response makes fans more suspicious. Is he preparing something big? Is he trying to settle it behind the scenes? Or is he just hoping the whole thing blows over? Some fans believe Jim is playing chess too. Maybe. He knows 50 thrives off attention and doesn't want to feed into it. Maybe he's waiting for 50 to make a mistake. Or maybe he's just not sure what 50 really has on him. And that unknown is making him move cautiously. Regardless, something's building, there's tension in the air. And not just between 50 and Jim, between their fans too. Old school G-Unit supporters are riding hard for 50, saying he's just doing what he's always done, calling out the fakes and shaking up the industry. Dipset loyalists are defending Jim, saying he's evolved and doesn't need to respond. To clout-chasing tactics, the debate is everywhere: comment sections, live streams, hip-hop forums, even on Twitter Spaces. But there's also a third group, fans who are just watching the chaos unfold like it's a TV series. They don't care who wins or loses, they just want drama. And right now, this beef has all the ingredients: history, mystery, and high stakes. The next move, however, is crucial. If 50 drops something with real weta name, a recording, document this beef could turn into a full-blown war. But if it's just more social media shots, people might start tuning out. That's why everyone's paying so much attention. They're waiting to see how real this gets. And let's not forget the hip-hop world is watching too. Other artists are staying quiet, but that doesn't mean they're not paying attention. Some are low-key rooting for 50 to expose something. Others are praying he doesn't go too far, because once he does, it'll be open season. Then there's the possibility no one's ready for. What if this ends in real-world consequences? We've seen how rap beefs can go beyond music. Words can lead to threats. Threats can lead to street action. And when federal names are being whispered and old cases brought up, it's not just entertainment anymore. It's a risk. That's why some people are saying 50 should chill. Others say Jim should speak up before it's too late. But knowing 50, he's not the type to chill. If anything, the silence and drama are motivating him more. He wants the world watching. He wants Jim uncomfortable. And he wants the story to unfold on his terms. So what happens next? Will 50 drop the nuke and expose everything? Will Jim clap back with a diss or deny it all? Or will this whole thing fade out into internet memory, just another moment in rap history that never quite erupted the way people thought it would? We'll find out soon. But one thing's for sure, when 50 Cent says he has time, he really means it. So now that you've heard everything, the warning, the history, the silence, and the smoke, it's time to ask the real question. What do you think is going to happen next? Is 50 Cent about to blow the lid off something major, or is Jim Jones silently planning a comeback move? Could this just be old school mind games? Or is it something much deeper? Something that might shake the whole industry? We want to hear your take. Drop a comment below and tell us, is this all promo, real beef, or something in between? And if you love this kind of raw, real, no-filter hip-hop storytelling, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started. Every week, we bring you the stories nobody else is telling, the drama behind the headlines, and the truth behind the silence. Stay tuned, because when the next shot is fired, you'll hear it here first. Hear it here first.